today we have two easy suttas. Both are about religion, about belief, especially belief the God idea, which is very common in all the world religions. The first sutta is called Brahmadeva Sutta, S6.3, which is in front of you. And the second sutta is called Pancaka Ittha Sutta, A5.43. This second sutta is about 5 things which are difficult to get in the world, which we all desire and pray for. We will study this a little later. Now we start off with this very, in a sense, humorous sutta, also instructive sutta, where you can say only the Buddha can come up with this beautiful story, a very wise teaching for us today. Even the title, Brahmadeva, is kind of symbolic and also suggestive, because Brahma is the high god in ancient India. In fact, the Buddha was so successful in converting Brahma, if you like to use the word convert, that Brahma became, well, we will say today became a Buddhist, but actually, according to the suttas, Brahma became a non-returner. So if Brahma is a non-returner, you can imagine he's a devotee of the Buddha. So because he's a devotee of the Buddha, the Brahmins got very upset with him and kind of stopped worshipping him. In fact, there are what I call the 3 gods, the triad. You have Brahma, who's kind of envisioned as the creator of the world. And then you have Vishnu, who is preserver of the world, so sustains the world. And then there is Shiva, who is the destroyer. So these 3, you can see, they represent the 3 cycles of nature: the rising, stabilizing, passing away, right? So these 3 gods. However, of all these gods, the Brahma is the least popular today. There hardly a handful of temples in India. In fact, I don't think, if you're an Indian, if you try to think of a Brahma temple in India, it is very hard to think of one. There's hardly a handful. Whereas temple to Vishnu, especially to Shiva, so many of them. So in a sense, you see here the success that the Buddha did in converting the creator. Right? Well, Vishnu also is regarded as a kind of protector of Buddhism. But then, of course, the Hindus always see them differently. Very often, when I meet an Indian friend, this Indian friend would tell me, "Oh, you're a Buddhist, are you? That's wonderful, because the Buddha was a Hindu, right?" And I've always to politely correct them and say, no, because in the Buddha's time there were no Hindus. The word Hindu was not used until around the Gupta period, which is much later. In fact, the word Hindu or Sindhu comes from the Sindhu area of Punjab. No? So it's a term used by the Persians and by the Chinese even. And later it went into the Indian vocabulary and became Hindu. So it's a kind of a later word, you know. In fact, there are many words in the Hindu religion which came later. For example, Krishna. There was no Krishna in the Buddha's time. In fact, in the Buddha's time, there is a word for Krishna, which is in Pali, Kandha. Kandha is Pali, Krishna is Sanskrit. Kandha means just that. It means dark, black. And Kandha is the name for Mara. And I suspect, just a personal understanding, that the idea of Krishna probably was influenced by the Greek idea of Hercules, this really wonderful, strong person. And so this Krishna became very popular to that kind of idea and ideology. So you can see how people create their own gods and worship them. So long as people worship them, they live, so to speak. But sadly, very often when we worship such gods, we also use them in our violence against others, which is not good. So these are some of the problems about looking up to a particular being or person, or what we say as externalizing our inner goodness. We put our what we see as good as coming from outside rather than cultivating it within us. So there are lots of problems when we do that, when we externalize this goodness instead of saying that this goodness comes from some higher being. If we say that the goodness comes from within us, we have to cultivate it ourselves, then we feel accountable, we feel responsible for our good karma. We are very careful about hurting people, about harming and killing people. We feel responsible. Whereas if you say, oh, it's God's will, then it's very dangerous, because someone can kill someone and say, oh, God made me do it. Or you don't believe in God, so I'm going to kill you now. That's terrible. So there are lots of very, very difficult problems, very dark problems when we externalize goodness to a figure outside. This is one of the, what should we say, one of the most tragic developments in human civilization, if you like, the idea of an external God. But thankfully, over thousands of years, as we become more civilized, this idea also becomes more moderated. So today you find education, science, and common sense have defanged, if you like, moderated this idea of God. And hopefully, if this trajectory, this pattern develops, hopefully in the future, common sense, common science, great wisdom will prevail, and people will have a better understanding. And instead of worshiping external gods, they begin to understand wisdom, kindness, compassion go together, and create a new world where science, knowledge, wisdom, beauty, and joy work together. Yeah, and you see some of this idea there in those Star Wars movies, those Star Trek movies. You see some of these ideas there in the future. But it's up to us, no, right now to study Buddhism, speak Buddhism, write positive things about Buddhism in this direction. So this is the God idea, Brahma. So Brahma, although in Buddhism we speak of Brahma as a kind of creator, he is not the creator of the universe. The universe kind of arises by itself by natural means. He is worshipped by people in the world in that way. And this sutta, this Brahmadeva sutta, is one such sutta instructing us why we should not worship Brahma. Okay, so let's look at this sutta now. Brahmadeva Sutta, the Brahmadeva Discourse. So this Brahmadeva is also the name of a monk, Brahmadeva. Mata gave him this name. So you can see the word Deva is at the end, meaning a god. Okay. Now this word Brahmadeva is very interesting because there are two categories of divine beings. In the sense world, they're called devas. The word deva here, there are two senses, two meaning. The first meaning is dibati, meaning to be playful. So the gods are happy and joyful. They're playing all the time, enjoying life in their beautiful gardens. It's very much like what you see in those Hindi movies, the singing and dancing and prancing from tree to tree and so on, that sort of thing, right? Dibati, to play, to sing. And the other meaning of deva is to shine brightly, to radiate with light. So these devas are so called because they have this wonderful energy, have this brightness. So they don't depend on the physical senses like us. They can see, they can hear. Where else? They don't need to be troubled by smell, although they have the sense of fragrance. They don't have to taste food because the food comes naturally to them just by thinking. The kind of infusion, if you like. So they're not physical like us. They kind of they've transcended the physical body of ours, which is what limits us actually to suffering. So these devas, they are more mind-based, if you like. Okay, of course, there are certain devas who are still sense-based, the sense world devas, right? For example, the Tawatingsa devas and Tusita devas and so on. So these are called devas of the sense world. But once you go on to the form world, the rupa jhanas, upwards, they're called brahmas. Okay, and these brahmas, you also can translate them as gods if you like, but this is one of the problems. Sometimes we translate Brahma as God, Deva as God, so it's very confusing. So we stay on with the original word, Brahma, Deva, and they can they're found in English dictionaries also, these words. So once you find them in an English dictionary, you can use them. So these brahmas, unlike the devas, they're bright. You can see them in a sense, okay? The brahmas are mostly invisible. They are pure energy, if you like. So here you see it almost in a scientific way, right? You see the brahmas exist as pure energy so that they can kind of be anything they want because they're energy, pure energy, right? So you have these brahmas, you have them in a form world, pure form. In other words, no physical body like ours. And then you have the formless brahmas. Right? So you have the devas of the lower world, lower heavens, and the brahmas of the higher world, so higher heavens. So this is something interesting about the two terms. Okay, having said that, let's look at the sutta itself, right? It's quite a short and easy sutta. Page 58. There you are. Okay, Brahmadeva Sutta. The Brahmadeva Discourse. This is the name of a person. S6.3. S chapter 6, Sutta 3. Brahmadeva's arhathood. Right. So now we're talking about a monk in the Buddha's time. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's forest or Jeta's grove near Savatthi or outside Savatthi. Now, at that time, a certain brahminee is a Brahmin woman, had a son named Brahmadeva, who had gone forth from the household life into homelessness in the presence of the Buddha. So in other words, this person has faith in the Buddha's teaching and followed the Buddha and become a monk, and not only become a monk. Let's read on and see. Then the Venerable Brahmadeva, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, exertive, and resolute, in no long time at all, right here and now, having realized it for himself through direct knowledge, attain and dwell in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which sons of family rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. In short, Brahmadeva became an arhat. Okay, so here this is a pericope. It's called a pericope, meaning a stock phrase telling us about arahathood. In this case, Brahmadeva's arahathood. So how does he become an arahat? He goes into solitary meditation. He rises So this alone, solitary meditation, he meditates by himself. And aloof, his mind is free from the world. He attains jhanas. Diligent, he goes on working, he goes on practicing in his meditation, and he does not stop, even though he attains joyful states. He goes beyond. He's determined, resolute, determined to free himself from suffering, attain arhathood. And in no long time, even as short as 2 weeks, so Sutta mentioned 2 weeks, right here and now, not in the heavens, not after death, but right here and now, he realized for himself with direct knowledge, through his own understanding, he attains the goal of the holy life, the purpose of becoming a Buddhist monk or Buddhist renunciant, right? For the sake of which people renounce the world, that is to attain nirvana. Right, so here's the definition of awakening, nirvana. He directly knew, notice the word directly knew is mentioned again, personally knew from his own experience, not through revelation, not from someone else. Birth is destroyed, so he knows no more rebirth, no more suffering. The holy life has been lived, done what is to be done. There is no more of this state of being. Now, of course, it's difficult for us to see all this. Most of us will say, oh, I'd rather live. I want to enjoy life. I want to play golf. I want to have my favorite fish head curry, whatever. Okay. So, but here, this arhat, he knows, oh, no more suffering for me. No more all this repetition of this cycle of life and death. And Brahma and the venerable Brahmadeva became one of the arhats. Okay, this is a famous line, became one of the arhats. It's not just the arhat, but there are many others. All right, so this is about Brahmadeva. So we're talking about this very special person, and the mother was still alive at that time. All right. Okay, let's see what happens now. So now the story comes in more interesting detail. Further down, please. Okay. A bit more. Sorry, a bit more. Up a bit more. Okay, here we have 2 verses. Dure ito brahmani brahma loko. Far from here, brahminee. Okay, these verses are spoken by this Brahma. Okay, I think I jump a bit too far. Let's go up a bit, please. Sorry, it's number 6. There you are. Okay. Then in the morning, the Venerable Brahmadeva, having dressed himself and taking rope and bow, entered Savatthi for alms. Walking on the unbroken alms round in Savatthi, he came to his own mother's house. Okay, unbroken alms round. This is a kind of a decision, if you like. That, for example, the monk gets up in the morning and before he goes out, he tells himself, okay, today I'm going to practice this. I'm going to go to every house on this row of the street. I'm not going to miss any house. Whatever I get, I will take. And if I don't get anything at the end of that row of houses, that's it. I won't eat, right? So he makes that kind of asseveration, that kind of determination. That's called unbroken round. So you go to every house, right? Of course, if he gets extra food, he will share with other monks. And if there are no other monks around, then he will take what he needs, and then he will leave the extra portion in a safe, proper place in the forest for the animals to eat. So he goes on this unbroken arms round, right? And he reaches his own mother's house. Now at that time, the brahminee, Brahmadeva's mother, had been making a regular offering to Brahma. So he's a Brahma worshipper. So he makes offerings to Brahma, all kinds of special offerings, including burnt offerings. All right. Now, so the story goes that Brahma himself knows about this. It's no ordinary Brahma here. We have this really Buddhist Brahma, and his name is Brahma Sahampati. His story is very famous, right? You have his story going back even in the Gatikara Sutta, in the Majjhima Nikaya. Then it occurred to Brahma Sahampati, the great Brahma. This brahminee, Brahmadeva's mother, has been making a regular offering to Brahma. Let me approach her and rouse Samvega, a sense of urgency in her. In other words, give her a teaching so that she realizes that what she's doing is wrong and she will turn to something, to the right way, right path. Samvega. Samvega is a very powerful Buddhist word. It is a realization that something you've been running after, in the end, is not really worth it. You know, the funny thing is when you're running after something, it's the running that seems to keep you so occupied that you don't think it's really worth it. Then when you get it, you say, oh, is it all? Is that all? You know, you find you're not satisfied. So that's the called samvega. You have this sense of like you have been had, you know. It's like you say, oh, this is not what I thought it was, you know. So you realize that all the wonderful things in life can be lost. So you want a deeper sense of meaning in life. And this is a very good reason why many of us become Buddhists, why we study meditation, we study the suttas so that we are more at peace with ourselves. And we also grow wiser as we listen to the Buddha's teaching. We begin to realize, yes, we can listen to so many people teaching, and then you find the end, we're following those teachers. And if we follow those teachers, we can never become any better than they are. We will never become better than them because we're always following them. We're in their shadow. Whereas a good teacher will always say, look, you got to make your own effort, you know, you got to study the suttas, and I'm only pointing the way to you. There are the suttas, and I'll help you understand the suttas. So you're, in a sense, you're on your own, but then we do it together. We study together. There is this fellowship, this path on which we walk together. So this Samvega gives us that strong push to seek the true teaching. Just like the way Brihadisattva saw the first three sides, an old man, a sick man, and a dead man, that shocked him into reality. And when he saw the fourth side, he saw this happy renunciant. He knew that is the way out. And he became a renunciant himself, and through his own struggle, he became the Buddha. So it all started with Samvega. All right, so Brahma notices this woman praying or making offerings to him. 7. Then, just as a strong man might stretch his arm out or bend it back, Brahma Sahampati disappeared from the Brahma world and reappeared in the residence of the brahminee, Brahmadeva's mother. So Brahma has to assume, take up some kind of form because he's invisible. So he has to kind of change himself into something physical so that the brahminee, Brahmadeva's mother, can see him. Then, standing mid-air, Brahma Sahampati addressed the brahminee, Brahmadeva's mother, in verse. Okay, this is interesting because whenever the gods speak to the Buddha or to others, they would usually speak in verse. And you see the same tradition, similar tradition in Shakespeare. Royalty would normally speak in verses, so you know that's royalty speaking. So you have this kind of literary convention. So we have this long before Shakespeare anyway, like the gods will speak in verses. And the Buddha also often speak in verses even to common people, right? So here we are, you have this Brahma speaking his verses to Brahmadeva's mother. Okay, let's look at this verses 5, 6, 5. Okay, let's go up a bit. Of course, these numbers, it shows there are quite a lot of 500 or more than 500 verses in this. This is Samyutta Nikaya, by the way. Dure ito brahmani brahma loko. Far from here, brahmini is the Brahma world, right? Here, Brahma world is far from here. Brahminee. Okay, this is how you spell brahminee in Pali. Yas sahuting paganhasi nichang, to which you make a regular offering. Right? Apart from here, Brahminee is a Brahma world, to which you make a regular offering. Right? So it's like someone coming from great distance from outer space. I mean, imagine Brahma is like an alien, and he comes and appears to this woman and says, wow, says, you know, you're praying to someone who's really far away. You know? Neta diso Brahmani, Brahma Bhakko. Brahminee. Brahma is not a partaker of such food, right? Brahma does not eat such food. King Japasi Brahma Patanga Janam. Why mutter prayers when you know not the path to Brahma? Okay, so here you see Brahma, remember he's a non-returner, so he's teaching Dhamma. First of all, he tells the woman, look, you know, you offer us such food, but we don't take this food. We're not of this world. Right? This is common sense. The gods do not take the kind of food that we take, because the gods do not have, the gods, physical being, are very refined, are different from us. They are formless, or they are of a refined form. So that's the first thing that Brahma tells this brahminee. Okay, and I always tell this very interesting story in this connection that I recall. I have this really wonderful cat. I have so many cats in my life. One particular cat was really interesting when I was in, let me see, in Malaysia anyway. So this cat was very considerate. You know, when you treat animals kindly, they become really loving. They really care for you. So one day, this cat brought to me, I think it's a lizard or a mouse. He caught something, I think caught a mouse, and he brought it to me and put it at my feet for me to eat, of course. So you can imagine, right? So here, I'll be like playing the role of Brahma, and this little cat is playing a human role. We don't eat that kind of food. Okay, so this is what Brahma is telling this brahminee. He says, you know, I don't take this kind of food. So the first thing, all right? We are different worlds. Now, secondly, Brahma tells this woman, why do you say all these prayers when you don't even know how to reach the Brahma world? All right, so this is something very profound. How the path to Brahma, Brahma Pata. Right? Here it refers not actually the Brahma world as a universe. It's another term for gaining awakening through practice of the four Brahma Viharas. Right? So this one we will do another time. But here you can say Brahma is asking this woman, says, you should be learning how to truly become Brahma-like, to practice loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, in other words. That's another way of putting it, right? Eso hite brahmani brahmadevo. All right, now this Brahma refers to the sun. So Brahmini, this Brahmadeva is one without acquisitions, who has surpassed the devas. Now it's referred to the sun, Brahmadeva. Eso hite brahmani brahmadevo nirupadiko ati deva patto. Deva, see the word deva here, ati means beyond, deva, patto means gain, attain. Without acquisition, nirupadiko, without worldly things, without worldly attachments, no more worldliness. He has surpassed the devas, even gone beyond the devas, higher than the devas. Why? Because it's an arhat, right? So, and then here, Brahma continues, akinchano bhikkhu ananyaposi. Akinchano, owning nothing. Bhikkhu, a monk here. This word monk is not here. Supporting no other. Anya means other. Posi means to support. So an in front means not or no. Ananya posi, not supporting other, without family. He has no relationships, in other words. In other words, he connects with everyone he meets. This bhikkhu, this monk. So he is the kind of a renunciant, if you like. So this Brahma is talking about the son, and so he's telling the mother, you have this wonderful son, in other words, and he's going to say a few more things. Right? Let's see. This monk has entered your house for alms. Right? So now the story connects. You see, Brahmadeva coming to the house, and then Brahma also comes down. So there are three parties. Now, isn't it interesting, right? You have the mother, and you have the son, who is an arhat. Mother is still in the world in samsara, and the son is an arhat, who is Buddhist. Mother is a brahminee, belongs to Brahmanism, and then you have this Brahma in between them, trying to link the two. Okay, so we'll stop here for a while. Now we look at verse 567. Ahuneyo edagu bhavitato, worthy of offerings. Knowledge master, whose mind is cultivated. Okay, these are qualities of the arhat, Brahmadeva. Ahuneyo, worthy of offerings. Here, Ahuneyo normally are the offerings given to the gods, but here in Buddhism, the meaning has changed to offerings to the monks. Vedagu also is a Brahmanical term, meaning one who understands the Vedas. But the word Veda originally means knowledge, wisdom. Gu is someone like gone forth, attained. And so here we translate as master, knowledge master. Now, this is a tricky word, bhavitato. So you can see an apostrophe, so you got bhavita plus atto. Atto normally means self, but in this case, it means mind. You can translate as one whose self is cultivated, bhavita, cultivated, atto, self. You can also translate as the mind, one whose mind is cultivated, okay? Who's mentally cultivated. Naranang, devanang, cha dakineyo. He is one who deserves gifts from humans and devas. In other words, being supported by the gods and by humans. Naranang is humans, plural. Devanang, plural. All right. Dakineyo. Dakina means right hand. Dakineyo, something we give with the right hand. The gifts. Okay. This is a very Asian kind of thing. Bhavitva papani anupalito. Having pushed away evil, one without clinging. All right. Now here is a play on word, bhavita, papani, having given up evil. This is in fact how the word brahmana is formed. A Brahmin is one who is bahitva papani, who has pushed away evil. This is the original meaning in Buddhism. Very often the Buddha criticizes the Brahmins for forgetting this, that they become ritualistic and they become dominating and so on, but they've forgotten to push away evil, right? Without clinging, anupalito, right? No more running after the world and so on. Gase sanang iriyati siti bhuto. Here we translate this last one first. Siti means cool, right? So the word sita means cool in the sense of nice weather, no more suffering, okay? Bhuto, become. Bhuta, so we translate siti bhuto as cooled. Now here there's a rare word, gasa esanang. Esanang means to search. Gasa means food, something we eat. Not very often use this word, okay? So gasa esanang, he comes seeking food. So this arhat, who is cool, whose fires of great hatred, delusion have been put out, is cool. He comes seeking food. So here Brahma is reminding the brahminee. Na tassa pacha na puratangati. For him, there is nothing beyond or in front. The past is gone, the future will not trouble him anymore. Santo vidumo anigo nirasso. At peace. Santo is at peace. Smokeless vidumo. No more confusion, no more desires in a negative sense. Untroubled, anigo, without desire, nirasso. Okay, without wanting this, wanting that. Nikita dando. Dando means stick, danda. One whose stick or one whose rod has been put down, laid down, in other words, non-violent. Tassa tavaresu, towards the moving, tassa, and the still, tavaresu, the frame and the firm and the frail, towards those who are unawakened, the worldling, as well as those who are wise, who are awakened, right? So, or this is a play on word. It can also mean all kinds of beings. One meaning can mean, for example, tassa are those beings, living beings, which are kind of stuck in a place like plants, you know, whereas tavaresu are beings that move around. So the different way we can interpret these terms to talk about different kinds of life. In other words, here, this arhat does not harm life of any kind. So tiyahuting bunjatu agapindang. He, and then here is a te, or it can be tu, it can be a stress word. It becomes y before the r, so pronounced as tiyahuting. Here's huting. Huting again is another word for offering. Let him eat your offering. So here Brahma says, what you're offering to me, offer to him. Because when you offer this offering to him, it becomes the foremost alms. It becomes a really wonderful, really blessed giving. Viseni bhuto upasanta citto, aloof from the crowd. Okay, here, aloof from the crowd, with a peaceful mind, upasanta, settled, peaceful, stilled mind, citta, citto. Nagoa danto charati anejo. Nago here means, normally translated as dragon, but here it means elephant. A very special elephant, a leader of the elephants of the herd. Danto means trained, tamed, like a tame leading elephant. He wanders undisturbed, unperturbed, peaceful. Bhikkhu susilo suvimutto citto, a monk, bhikkhu, of pure virtue, susilo, well freed in mind. Su means well, vi means special, mutta means free, citta, mind. So tiyahuting bunjatu agapindang. Notice here, the line repeats. 568 D, 569 D. Right? This is A, B, C, D, like that. Let him eat your offering, the foremost alms. Tasming pasana awikampamana, with bright faith in him. Pasana means bright faith. Without wavering, without any doubt. Patittapehi, dakinang dakiniye. Place your offerings in one worthy of it. Give him those offerings that you have been praying with. Give it to him. He really deserves it. And it's good for you, because it's good karma. Karohi punyang sukang ayatika. Having seen a sage who has crossed the flood, brahminee, make merit for future happiness. This make merit for future happiness is the line I've just read there. Karuhi, make punyang, merit for future, ayatikang, future, sukang, happiness. Diswa muning brahmani oga tinanti. Having seen the wise sage, the silent sage, brahmini, one, so this sage has crossed over the floods of ignorance and so on. All right. So here, Brahma tells the brahminee, you make this offering, you will be very good for your good future, bring you future happiness. And now the sutta closes with a redactor's verse. Okay, here you are. Let's go down a bit more. This one is a verse added in by the council elders. Tasming pasana awikampamana, with bright faith in him without wavering. Patita pesi dakinang dakineye, she placed her offering in one worthy of it. Akasi punyang sukang ayatikang, having seen a sage who has crossed the flood. Viswa muning brahmane ogotinan ti. The T here closes the quote. The brahminee made marriage for future happiness. So this is the concluding verse spoken by the council members. All right, so here we see, in other words, Brahma coming down and teaching the Dhamma to this Brahmin woman, and she goes on the right path by making the offerings to the arhat. So there you are, this beautiful story about how a high god makes the mother sees the son as truly higher than the other beings who are not awakened as an arhat, and how fortunate she is in being a mother of an arhat. So you see, this is the true role of the great God, if you like, in a form of Brahma. Okay, so sadhu to that sutta. Now we go on to the second sutta. We close with the Pañca Ittha Sutta. Yes, there you are. Wonderful. Okay, Pancaka Ittha Sutta. Ittha means that which we want, what we desire, the desirable. Pancaka in the book of fives, Sutta teaching or discourse. So you can see here, A 5.43 is in the book of five. There are 5 things, Sutta 43. The fives discourse on the desirable. It is also entitled here in the Sinhalese edition of the Pali, Panca Ittha Dhamma Sutta, the discourse on the 5 desirable states or desirable things. The theme here is pray for only what we are willing to work for, right? So don't pray for things that you want someone else to do for you. You want to pray, you make sure you can work for it. All right, so this is a teaching given to Anathapindika. All right, let's go straight into the sutta and see what I can tell you about Pancaka Ittha Sutta. Some more, down some more, yeah. Okay, there we are. All right. Pancaka Ittha Sutta, the 5 discourse on the desirable, A 5.43. Okay, here I've noted the section numbering are not fully following PTS because PTS numbering is a bit awkward, a bit unsystematic. So I've followed my own numbering system so that we can easily refer to it during study. Originating in Sawati, the 5 desirable things that are difficult to obtain. Then the house lord Anathapindika approached the Blessed One. Having approached the Blessed One, he saluted him and then sat down at one side. Then the house lord Anathapindika sitting thus at once, to the house lord Anathapindika sitting thus at one side, the Blessed One said this. Okay, so this is a teaching specially given by the Buddha to Anathapindika. Notice the sutta goes straight and tells us the Buddha speaks to Anathapindika. Now, Anathapindika, as you know, was the main supporter of the Buddha. In fact, he is so respectful and loving with the Buddha. He doesn't want to trouble him, so he never asks any question because he feels that if he asks any question, the Buddha will be obliged to answer. So he doesn't want to force the Buddha. So the Buddha will read his mind and then kind of like see what question, what doubt he has that day or what thought he has and try to respond to that. So on this day, the Buddha talks about the 5 kinds of things that people normally desire. So he tells Anathapindika, The Buddha tells Anathapindika, section 2, House Lord, there are these 5 things that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. What are the 5? House Lord, long life is desirable, beloved, agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. Beauty is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world, right? So long life is something people desire, difficult to obtain. Happiness also is something people desire, but difficult to obtain, difficult to get in the world. Fame is something people like, people want, but difficult to obtain in the world. Heavenly birth, a kind of very joyful life. If you don't believe in heaven, a very joyful life is also desirable, but difficult to obtain in the world. These, House Lord, are the 5 things that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. So remember, 5 things. This is part of the phrase, Ayu, Wana, Sukha, Balang. But here you have 5. Long life, this Ayu, Wana, beauty, Sukha, happiness. This is Yasa, fame. And then heavenly birth, Saka. 3. Of these 5 things, House Lord, that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world, they are not to be obtained through prayer, ayachana hitu, or through wishing, patana hitu, I say. Right? So there you are. The Buddha said, you can't pray and wish for these things. You can't pray and wish for long life, or for beauty, or for happiness, or for fame, or for heavenly birth. So how do you get it? This is what the sutta is about. Okay, let's go further down, please. All right, 4. If these 5 things, House Lord, that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world, be obtained through prayer or through wishing, who would lack anything in the world? Right? So the Buddha said, if you can easily get these 5 things, we have everything. Right? But that's not the case. Further down. So how do we get these things that we desire? So here you see the running number of the sutta itself, and then here is the internal sets. 1, for a noble disciple, House Lord, who wishes to have long life. It is, notice it says, not a noble disciple, so someone who keeps to the moral virtue, moral training, and mental training. If you wish to have long life, it is not proper that you should pray for long life or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to long life. Now notice here, the Buddha doesn't tell you exactly what to do. He says, you want to have long life, you got to live according to the rules that will give long life. By following such a path, he would obtain long life, be it divine or human. So here, of course, a doctor will be very happy and say, there you are, I see the Buddha is teaching you to exercise, to take proper food and take care of your health, right? So that is part of the conditions for long life, then the mental health and so on, right? So you should do those things that promote long life, including loving kindness. Yeah, it's a kind of prayer, if you like, but then you are willing to work for it. Number 2, for a noble disciple, House Lord, who wishes to have beauty, it is not proper that he should pray for beauty or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to beauty. By following such a path, he would obtain beauty, be it divine or human. So here, how do we practice a way of life so that we become beautiful? Again, we've got to practice good health, hygiene, groom ourselves, and we've got to practice lots of loving kindness. So we're smiling, we're happy, right? So, and that's true beauty. And then the next one, the third one, that is 7, the third, happiness. For a noble disciple, House Lord, who wishes to have happiness, it is not proper that he should pray for happiness or take delight in doing so. In other words, delight in praying. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to happiness. By following such a path, he would obtain happiness, be it divine or human. So you have to learn to be to live a life that will bring you happiness by being contented, by understanding nature of impermanence of things, by sharing what you have, by making others happy, by practicing the 4 divine abodes, for example. So you understand that you can be truly happy only when you also make others happy. So we're happy together, in other words. And of course, there's this inner state of mind which brings you joy, and that makes you happy. So that's number 3. Now, number 4, which is paragraph 8. For a noble disciple house taught who wishes to have fame, it is not proper that he should pray for fame or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to fame. By following such a path, he would obtain fame, be it divine or human. So if you really want to be famous, you've got to live a life which should truly bring you fame. That is, live a good life, it's a good example, being kind to others, and so on. Right, so it's true fame. And the same thing with the last one, number 5, that is section 9. For a noble disciple house taught who wishes to have heavenly birth, it is not proper they should pray for heavenly birth or take delight in doing so. Further up, please. All right. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to heavenly birth. By following such a path, he would obtain heavenly birth. So he means keeping the precepts, right? And keeping the mind peaceful, pure, and happy. Then you attain a heavenly birth, a happy rebirth, if you like. So these are the 5 ways to get those wonderful wishes that humans want. All right, now the Buddha closes with verses, the verses on diligence. There are 3 verses here. Ayung arogyang vanang saggang ucha kulinatang rattiyo patayantena ulara aparapara. I think there are 8 syllables in each line. So this is sloka. Okay. Long life, good health, beauty. Ayung. Ayu, when you conjugate it, becomes ayung. Arogya. Sometimes here the I is added in for let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is more than 8, so it's not sloka. It's another form of verse. No? Ayung arogyang vanang. Long life, good health, beauty. Sagang, heavenly birth. Ucha kulinatang. Kula, this comes with the word kula, meaning birth, high birth of family. Ucha means high birth. That means noble family. Long life, good health, beauty, heaven, high birth. In other words, good family. For those who hope or pray for delight so great ever and again, apa madang pasang santi punya kirya supandita apa mato ubo ate adiganha tu pandito. So the verse continues. The wise praise diligence, right? So the keyword here is diligence in making of merit. You got to live a life doing good. On account of diligence, the wise benefit both ways. And what are the 2 ways? Further down, the last verse. Dite dame chayo atto yo chatto samparayiko atabisam maya diro pandito ti pavuchati. There is the benefit here and now. So in other words, happiness in this life, and the benefit in the hereafter too. Happiness to follow future life. The steadfast, yes, the steadfast is someone who's morally strong, who's at peace with himself. He attains the goal. He's said to be wise. Okay, here you have the Buddha hinting to us we should aim high to attain nirvana, the goal. Then you are truly wise. So there you are, the 5 kinds of happiness. And we have completed the study here. And we have a bit of time for questions. Sadhu.
Sadhu, Piya. Thank you for the teaching. Now we have our Q&A. Sister Isim, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ratna. Sadhu to everyone. Brother Piya, the first question from Sister Huilin.
Okay.
In Brahmadeva Sutta, arhat is being described as smokeless in the verses. It is because Sutta described the defilement of greed, hatred, and delusion as fire.
Right.
Is there any other explanation why smokeless being used?
Sure. Okay, so why are the three roots, greed, hatred, delusion, described as fire? Because they burn us, they make us suffer, basically. To burn him is to suffer. And the idea of burning is not just burning. The fire is not a very good fire. It is still fire, it burns, but it's also smoky. What does that mean? Smoky, when smoke gets in your eyes, wow, you can't see well, and a lot of tears, and it's very hurting. So this smoke also blinds us. It prevents us from seeing true reality. So there you are, you have this smoke, right? So the arhat is said to be cool. The fire of the three unwholesome roots have been put out. So without the fire, there's no smoke, no more ignorance. So the arhat is able to see clearly and healthily, right? You know, around this time of the year, you find we get smoke coming from Indonesia, going to Malaysia and Singapore, and we don't like that. So this haze is bad. Haze is kind of smoke, right? So here for the arhat, all this is clear, healthy, no more smoke, no more ignorance, no more bad health in the mental sense. And his vision is clear, he's awakened. So that's the meaning of smokeless. No suffering, no ignorance. Okay, that's one way of putting it. So I hope that's clear enough. No? Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's no question in the chat box at the moment. Any brother and sister would like to ask question, you can unmute yourself to ask your question now. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Today's suttas are quite easy, quite instructive. We have about 20 more minutes. That should come up with some questions. And I'm very happy to see quite a number of new faces have joined us. So for those of you who are new, you can get some more suttas from our website, which is found at the bottom of each page of the translations. And we are constantly updating the translations when we get new notes, new studies, and we have a better idea of some of those difficult Pali words. So if you are really going to do some research or study, you can write to us, write to Ratna, to me, about the sutta. We will give you the latest versions that we have, okay? So do contact us. In fact, we have people from various universities contacting us. Even the universities are using these notes for their students, because this helps them. All these notes have been put together for them, so it helps the teachers. They don't have to write so much notes. All right, any questions?
Yeah, there's question from Sister Huili. For the Pancaka Ittha Sutta, the five desirable things are to be diligently worked on are the punya kiryavati. So in the past, for normal householders, there is not practice of sila, samadhi, or panya.
Sila, samadhi, panya is the whole practice of, is the Buddhist practice, if you like. These five happiness are kind of, the Buddha is addressing the people in the world. Most people, whether Buddhists or not, they often want to have some or all of these 5 kinds of blessings, if you like, right? You don't have to be religious to want these things. Whereas Sila, Samadhi, Pañña, moral virtue, mental training, and wisdom is to practice to be free from all these 5 blessings. You don't need them because you get much more than these 5 blessings. So here we see the Buddha speaking to the world and say, okay, if you want all these wonderful things, this is how you do it, right? So the Buddha is giving a kind of indirect teaching, telling the people that they still have to be good, to be kind to themselves, to practice moral virtue, some kind of mental discipline in order to be truly happy. So in other words, this is being truly happy in the world. Whereas the 3 trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Pañña, is to be free from the world to become awakened, right? So of course, if you are not yet an arhat, you will still come back into this world, but you will still be happy in this world. Okay, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Currently there is no question.
Okay, we just wait a while. Well, those of you who are doing proofreading, do continue and send us the proofs for especially 60F. We are reaching the end already. I have started on the other suttas, the regular suttas in the volume 60. In fact, I've done up to 60.8. I'm doing 60.8 now. So we are beginning to go back to checking the suttas. No? So if you want to look at the newly translated suttas with all the notes, just sign up as a volunteer for sutta proofreading. Okay, just contact us. Any questions? 30 more minutes.
Brother Piya.
Yes.
Brother Piya, could you say a little bit about the 3 characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, from the perspective like I'm facing this issue, but to put it very shortly, that sometimes like if we keep doing this perception that anicca, dukkha, anatta, so even the things that give us joy or peace, wholesome things, even you might like sort of stop enjoying them or like feeling that joy and instead start feeling maybe like dejected or kind of like that the positive thing is sucked out because you're feeling like even this is like a dukkha anatta kind of a thing. So could you like, help us to understand how this is to be practiced rightly?
All right. Okay, anicca, dukkha, anatta. First of all, these are called the 3 universal characteristics. This is the way things are, basically. All right. Impermanent, anicca means the change, the law of change. And this is very scientific, in fact, and so the scientists that agree with us. And then dukkha means they're not always the way you want them. Okay, so this is the long way of talking about it. Of course, you say the word suffering is a bit, people don't like it. Yeah? But if you explain, things never turn out the way you want it. You may want to get something you see well nicely advertised, but once you get it, you say, oops, is that all? You know, and so that is dukkha. It is never the way you expect it. All right. Now the third one is the most tricky of all. Right. So that is there is no essence in anything. There is no something. There's how the sutta explains it in one of the latest suttas that have been translated. people always think that there must be something. You know, you have even one of these British scholar who gave up Buddhism and say, why is there something? You know, so it shows that it has not understood the one of the most basic thing in the Buddhist teaching, when the Buddha says those with wrong views always think that there must be something, right? All right, so these are the three universal characteristics. Everything that exists must exist in time. Note this, very important fact. Whatever exists must exist in time and space, right? We understand this, isn't it? Whatever exists in time. It must change. And space, they go together. When we say something exists in time, that is a rather technical way of saying everything changes. Time is change, right? So no one can deny that truth. Everything changes. So whatever we experience in our daily life, always remember that it is time-bound. It is impermanent. This study is impermanent. If you worry it is too long, no, it's going to end in a few minutes. If you think it's too short, well, listen carefully and you find there are deep teachings, and study on your own, you find you go deeper. So it is something relative to you, right? So if you're at peace with yourself or in deep meditation, you find time seems to stay still, as if stay still, right? But when you come out of the meditation, you find, wow, time has passed. Then dukkha is, you find whatever you seek, as long as you have not got it, it seems so wonderful. But once you've got it, there is a sense of, is that all? You know, and you find there's something missing there, something that you want, but it's not there, because that something is a phantom you have created in your own mind. You expect it to be something, but there is no such something. That no such something belongs to the idea of non-self. There is no such thing. There is no such ideal best days or best that you want. Things are all interconnected. They exist in relation to other things. So you cannot say, oh, this is me. Because the moment I say this is me, that moment has passed. And I'm changing all the time, because what am I? I'm made up of body changes. I'm made up of feeling, right? Feeling also changes. I'm made up of perception. I look at things, I have ideas. Perception also change. Perception must change, otherwise I will not make no sense. I can't make any sense of things. And then there is, we create karma. We go into action. I want to do this, I want to do that. Okay, that's karma. That is sankhara, formations. That also changes things. And finally, there is consciousness. The whole process of what I'm doing also changes. So I am these 5 aggregates. But which one of this I cannot point out. I cannot point out, right? So because all these work together to make what I am. Now we can look at the bigger picture still. What I am, what each of you are. You see many screens in front of you here. It's not just one screen. We are not just one person. It'd be meaningless if we're just one person. I am what I am, you are what you are right now, because of so many other things around you, the society that you are in. And then if you look at the society you're in, the society is connected with other societies, other groups. Although we are far away, there is this connection. And look at this Zoom website. We are all interconnected here now from all over the world. So this is called the extended minds. Our minds are connected with one another. So what you are, what I am, are all interconnected. So where is the real self here? we exist together. You see, what I know, you are learning, and when you ask me questions, I'm learning about you. I'm getting to know you better. So everything is interconnected. Extended minds. We exist because other beings exist. I am because you are. And we all are together, interconnected. We live like that in society, otherwise we can't exist. We are aware of this, that's the big difference. Animals are not aware of this. A stone definitely has no awareness. So this idea of non-self is to show us that there's no fixedness, there's no fixity in our existence. They're all interconnected, they're all changing, and things are never the way they seem to be. That's one way I can put it. So if you think about it, and this is something we often talk about again and again in Buddhism, because it's not an easy topic. Okay, so normally we start with the easy one, that is with impermanence. That's the easiest to understand. So if you can master that, it brings you stream winning. But when you can understand non-self completely, it brings you arhathood. So you can see more or less there is a 3 deep levels of looking at the world. All right, so I suppose I can say that much without confusing people. Okay, next question. Any more questions?
Thank you, Brahma.
Okay.
Yeah, the next question from Sister Huilin.
Okay.
It is interesting that Brahma Sahampati wanted to incur some vega in householders. Would that mean normal householders like us would not really feel the need to practice towards liberation? How do householders incur some vega as we do not have any Brahma to remind or guide us?
So what's the word? Metta or what?
Samvega.
Oh, Samvega. I see.
Yeah.
The Brahma story can be interpreted different ways. For example, we can be seen as the Buddha or Brahma, if you like, reminding us that we are capable of self-reliance. There is some goodness in us. We've got to look for that goodness and use it. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. So Brahma tells the brahminee, the mother, say, look, your own son is an arhat. Why don't you start there? Don't look too far away. Okay. The Samvega is not an easy experience because not everybody notices that. Even when we do notice it, most of us would not pay much attention to it. We'll quickly distract ourselves and look for something else. You can say most of our lives, if we are not awakened, is trying to distract us from all this suffering and impermanence. So Samvega is not an easy thing to face because it's such a powerful challenge. It can be quite scary. You might not know what to do. See? So that is why we need metta. We need loving kindness to balance up and strengthen ourselves to just keep on going and finding some meaning in life. So you find, see, this is the thing, look at those people in the Gaza and so on. They're suffering now, right? So different times you find different parts of the world suffering. What is their meaning? We don't even have to talk about Samvega to them because every moment is so risky. A bomb will drop, a bullet will come, and you don't even know what's going to happen. They're suffering. There's no need for Samvega. You can see that suffering right in the face. But when we look at a situation, we say, wow, this is really bad, What if I were to get caught in this kind of situation? So you have that uneasy feeling. So as Buddhists, we want to be helpful, prevent some suffering in others, and do something as far as we can. So you find in a society like Singapore, where many people are prosperous, they try to help each other, try to be kind to each other. So they feel a sense of usefulness and also a sense of purpose, and they feel good, they're able to do this. So it's not just a feeling of samvega. There is another, the positive word, where you have pasada. In other words, you feel joyful, you feel happy because you have made other people happy. That's the opposite of it, pasada. Okay, you bring joy to others, just like the fourth sight. The Prince Datta sees the renunciant and is very happy. He sees the renunciant is happy, and he knows that's the hint of the way out. So don't forget pasada also. All right. Okay. Any other question? 5 more minutes.
Yeah. There's no more question at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you can see the year is going to end so fast. Huh? This is already November. Then we have January again. Then we go into our 3rd year of Sutta study. Oh, Mayang, you've carried your computer across your house, huh?
Oh,
Can see you.
the cook was ringing the bell, so I had to open the door. So I just carried it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. That's interesting. All right. So as we wait for the new year to come, all of you have learned some kind of meditation, or you're learning meditation. So do practice this meditation. You find it very useful for you in time as you age. The suttas, of course, are not easy to study, but the little bit that you know is the key. Will bring you more wisdom. You don't have to know all the suttas. Even I do not know all the suttas. I'm still discovering some of the suttas as I translate them. So bit by bit, as in Pali we say, tokang, tokang, that means bit by bit, yeah? And that bit will help you a long way. Meantime, okay, right now let's get the family photo. So a reminder, volume 60, most of volume 60, 60.1 A, B, C, D, E, they're all ready. So if you want them, these volumes, it's like my memoirs, my 50 years of work. I put them together, all the ideas about the various meditators in Southeast Asia, the various methods, and how modern psychology is using meditation. So this is what volume 60 is about. So if you want to read this collection, this special 20th anniversary collection, just let us know. We will send you the latest versions. You don't have to read from cover to cover. Just look at the contents, the index, and see what interests you and start from there. But these are things I've written from my personal experience, my understanding with the suttas on what I see is going on with Buddhism, religion, and psychology. So this is called Meditation in Society, the series, volume 60.1. Okay. You just say volume 60 series, ST60 series, we will know what to send to you. And volume F should be ready by year end. That's the longest and most interesting part of it, actually. Okay. Now, any last minute questions? If not, then we'll end here. Let us look at the closing screen. So we will reflect on this moment once again. So this beautiful Buddha in the forest. It's always wonderful to have friends studying the suttas together, happily together at peace. And so that we must also remember there are many others who do not have this joy. that we are experiencing. Have a thought for them. And whenever you can, just stretch your hand or do something to relieve the suffering of others. Share the joy of the Dhamma that's inside you with others. That is one way to grow in the Dhamma. Reflecting in this way, we also remember we have gathered together and sacrificed about 2 hours today to recite the 3 precepts and 5 precepts, to meditate, to listen to the Dhamma and think about it. So remember all these good deeds you have done today. May you be well, may you be happy. Send your kind thoughts to your loved ones, your teachers, and also, of course, to yourselves too. And above all, let us show our gratitude to the three jewels by reciting the words of closing salutation. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.